What are the best champions to use in Mystic Defense, the Deathless Showcase? Hi everybody, welcome to like a two-part that's going to be released here on Thursday. 2 videos, first one being the Mystic Defense and the second one being the Tech Defense. For a lot of people that are coming to this in the last 24 hours, you're probably going to say that it's very easy, fantastic. For me, I kind of look at this as being it's fun. There are some pitfalls and things to remember, especially with trying to find the best champions to take this on, and not everybody's going to have the best options, so you largely do what you can do with the champions that you have. So assembling the best team is largely important based on what you have. I'm fortunate in that I worked hard to get the Deathless champions last year, as many other people did. So those are going to be some good options. Well, one Deathless champion, and that is Deathless She Hulk. She is a definite champion to add to your team. But also, there are more. Now, I don't have a 6-star Count Nefaria, otherwise I would put him there because there is some degeneration damage. It's not going to be too much of a pain point, but we'll come back to that in a minute when we look at the paths. Spider-Ham is a great champion to have in your team, and I would recommend that. If you're looking for as well miscounters and options that have buff immunity, then of course Quicksilver is going to be that. Titania as well, it's going to be a great champion to add to the team, and the same thing when it comes to Photon. All of those champions there are going to be not key, but they're going to have elements of countering, either the miscounter or the degen counter, that could save you a little bit of frustration against certain champions like Ebony Maw, Kindred, and one other one I can't remember. Maybe if you make a mistake in against the Destroyer. What I'm going to do now is throw up footage of some of the fights in motion, especially as we go over some of them. I've done a write-up of some of the champions that I think are good fits to take on the respective champions you see right here in the description. I don't know if I have enough time to do Google Drive sheet, but at least I've got time to put something in the description so you can read up on this and kind of go, okay, well, Rich used that, or Rich thinks that's a good option, because there are some other things as well to consider. So starting off with the champions you're facing off against, Chavez for me is that I always approach the fight by keeping it to an SP1. The nodes in general of this kind of 50,000 point, 50,000 damage, is as soon as the fight goes on, you're going to get beneficial effects. The beneficial effects will see you have full regeneration of your health, depending on how you play it, and as long as you keep yourself alive for 120 seconds, being proactive against the enemy, avoiding special attacks, you're going to be benefited from doing more damage, number one. Number two, some nice dot damage, and number three, regaining a little bit of health, and also a lot of health. So the main thing, the easiest way to look at this, is staying alive. Staying alive. BG style-y. So once you've got that and you thought about that and that's the way you're approaching it, then largely you can have a bit of fun. Against Chavez, keep the champion to an SP1. That's my kind of advice with that. Going against Manthing, I would recommend with that having either champions that have poison immunity or a bit of like aggression. If you do see the mistake of the unstoppable buff, then you can counter that with slow debuff based champions, but again, it's not an issue and it's not a huge thing to be concerned about. Especially as Deathless She Hulk does ramp for a lot of these fights. Silk can also do the Rintrah fight, Deathless She Hulk can do the same. When you move on to the next path, you're met with Absorbing Man. Absorbing Man, and again, there's no extra nodes to this. It is just fun, and it's just something to just concentrate on the fight rather than any other kind of silly rotation. Make sure to do the heavy attack for this champion, just kind of like shut off his kind of modes, and use champions that are going to be... Something goes wrong with my voice then. Use champions that are going to be a voice break. Use champions that are going to be effective in high damage dealing, whether that's going to be Silk or any kind of ramp up science-based champion. I'm a big fan of using Hulk, and that's always a champion I like to break out. But don't undermine the purpose of Overseer. Even Anti-Venom could be quite good at a later stage, especially going up against fights that he fits perfectly, because he can also, if the champion does have buffs, I believe Anti-Venom does have a stagger in his kit, so that could be cool as an alternative usage. So don't like poo-poo some out there champions. Then you got Mangog. That champion definitely has a stoppable, and countering unstoppable may be good for something like Silk. It could be Titania. If you're hearing clattering of bottles, the recycling lorries here, apologies. But also we've got anything that's countering unstoppable is normally very good. Shathra is nothing to worry about, and you can use any champion that's science for this, or any Science decay based champion. You can use other decay champions for this, but and in other classes, but I would say that it's best to go science for class advantage. Ebony Moore, when things kind of like get a little bit tricky, you can either deal with frustrations like miss with the likes of Photon, which I used, Quicksilver as well as a miss counter. Anti-Venom can be good, but that's only from a buff immunity standpoint, the same way that you look at Titania. So those two things there, go different with it. Anti-Venom or Titania or any buff immune champions can be really good to you know, take it on. Or the Degen Immune option, which is of course Spider-Ham and Count Nefaria. Moving on to Werewolf by night, for this guy, there's no great issue. It's just a case of watching out for special attacks and the occasional unstoppable passive that comes up. And again, like if you've got the slow debuff based options, that can counter that. It's very kind of like easy. On to the final path, leading to the final boss, Sasquatch. Providing you've got something to deal with the regen at the end, and that is going to be like Deathless She Hulk, or champions that have got a wither within their kit. Champions that are able to suppress that healing can be good, but effectively you're just watching out for that unstoppable that comes up from time to time when it goes into, I think it's like, was it like Wrath or something like that, the Wrath mode, and that's something that was it Rage, something like that. Anyway, you can use any champion for this, and I think you'll find that it'll be okay. Just watch out towards the end. And then you've got Destroyer. This is when you've got to think about wither-based champions. You've got to think about other ways to take down the enemy. I personally like Silk for this fight, or I like Deathless She Hulk. I think I used Deathless She Hulk in the end because I thought that was effective. If you don't have any of those champions, Quicksilver and Luke Cage can do a job for you, but Quicksilver will be all about getting that wither in, and Luke Cage will be about surviving with the Indestructible. You can look for a very aggressive play with Hulk and surviving. You do get that protection, and that's something that maybe I didn't kind of like hint to. Like at times you could get the protection that saves you from the SP3. If for whatever reason you're finding yourself not staying alive that much, then you can look to your boosts, and there is a SP3 boost which you can go purchase, which can keep you alive a little bit more if that's something that is a concern, but it shouldn't be a concern. You can find it in the other section of boosts and buy it with loyalty for free, rather than spending any units or anything that's going to be too painful. Kindred sees up the final champion on the path, so Degen Immune options could be quite good here. And that will see you Count Nefaria, Spider-Ham, Titania can be quite good on the aggressive side of things. Not so much with the degen counters, but from an aggressive standpoint, that indestructibility. And you can use that for Destroyer having Titania, so that could be a good option right there. If you've got any shock immune options, then taking, say, Sandman against Doctor Doom can be very nice. So depends if you have that in your team. And Sandman could do great for like clearing champions in the path. Titania as well, being immune to buffs, can be quite helpful. So you won't be nullified, staggered, and other stuff like that. But also you can be very aggressive, and you can go unstoppable, you can go unblockable, you can survive SP3s, SP2s, depending on how you rotate with the champion. Yeah, Deathless She Hulk cleared a lot of the path, but I don't really want to make this all about one champion, and say multiple champions can do this. I hope you had fun, because I certainly did in this particular quest. Let me know if you did or didn't, and who you used. Was any alternatives to the ones mentioned? Check out some other content located on screen, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a lovely day, and goodbye.